Hey guys, Cam at US Motorworks. I'm the Derale Performance Category Manager and Motorsports Coordinator. Today we're going to be talking about our High Amp series fan controllers, and we do have a few different options on these controllers, so we're going to go a little more in depth there. We offer both a single and dual fan configuration, rated at 35 amps per fan. So the single fan obviously is 35. The dual fan will have two 35 amp wires for a total of 70 if you're running some big hefty fans out there. Then we also offer a few different sensor styles for these controllers as well. We have a threaded NPT option for any water jacket ports, as well as a probe style that'll go through the fins of any radiators and give you a much simpler installation. So looking a little closer at the controller, the first thing we're going to touch on is the sensor right here. So every sensor is the same no matter what style controller you get. It just has a number 6x32 machine screw on the end where it's going to make it modular, and so you can take a probe like what's included, screw that on, and now you're going to have the probe style sensor. Or if you get the one that's a threaded NPT adapter for a water jacket, same thing, that'll just screw right on. Makes it more modular so everything is the same part, easy to replace if you need to. This particular unit is a dual fan controller, so you'll notice there's two wires, which also is denoted on the label where it tells you which one is fan 1 and which one is fan 2. That's so you know which fan will be operating both off of the override and which one to expect first on the thermal reading. Coming out of the top is our power supply wire, which will be going to the circuit breaker so that the controller is pulling modulated power and operates correctly. The main thing that we do want to talk about on that is there's about a 10-degree difference between the two fans. So your first fan will come on at say 180, your second fan will come on at 190. That way it staggers both the electrical impact, and if you don't necessarily need all that fan power, you're not going to overdraw your electrical system yet. We have our black wire for grounding out the controller. Then we also have our yellow key switch ignition wire, which allows the controller to work only while the vehicle is running. And when power is taken off of this wire, that's what triggers the 20-second cooldown timer as well. Then looking over here is the green override wire, which anytime this wire is powered, fan 1 is going to be operating regardless of single or dual configuration. Fan 1 is what's going to be operating when there's 12 volts on this wire. So looking a little more in depth at what's going to come in the box with the controller, we have some basics like zip ties to keep the wires clean and tucked out of the way, as well as some sheet metal screws for mounting both the controller and the circuit breaker so that they can stay in the desired location you select it for them. We're going to have the circuit breaker itself, which depending on the kit will be either a 25 or 50 amp. The single fan kits will be a 25, and then the dual fans will be a 50 amp breaker. If you're running something a little heftier, maybe closer to 60 to that 70 amp limit, you might want to source your own breaker, but for any Derale product, this breaker is going to be more than enough. We also have some large gauge wire to connect from the battery to the circuit breaker. And then we also have some wiring basics like Scotch lock connectors, ring terminals, and butt connectors. And then depending on which unit you order, we either have our NPT adapter, which is a 3/8 NPT, or we have our probe kit, which is going to be the probe, a foam insulator, and the clip to secure it in place. And then we also have the instruction sheet that comes in every box. That's also going to be listed on the website at derale.com. It can help you determine any installation that you might be facing before you order the unit while you're waiting for it to show up, and determine if it's something you can tackle yourself or get extra help involved with. If you're using the probe style controller, the main thing is making sure that the probe, when you screw it onto the sensor itself, this must be pushed from the back of the radiator through to the front. So in a traditional automotive sense, it would be going from the engine side out towards the headlights, and you want the foam pad that's included to be on the front side so that it's insulating the sensor. You don't want it against the part where the wire's attached, because that will block heat transfer and prevent the controller from working properly. And then also, let's say you have a thinner core and that probe really is sticking out far. It's all solid brass, so you'd be able to trim it down as much as you need. We recommend leaving roughly about a 1/4 inch, that way there's enough room for the pad to push on, as well as getting the clip on to secure it in place so that it can't walk out and fall out from the radiator.